You're driving when suddenly a cop pulls you over. Heart pounding, you roll down your window. "Were you speeding?" he asks. You panic. You say a little bit too much, and now the officer's asking you if you've been drinking. What just happened? You've fallen into his trap. Your words just put you at risk of arrest. Do you want to avoid this? Stay with me as I reveal 5 tricky questions officers often use and how to outsmart them. Let's start with the first and the most tricky question the cops ask. Do you know why I stopped you? It's an open-ended question, and the purpose of it is to let you rant and confess to something. Imagine this scenario. You're driving your car when a cop stops you at a traffic light. You roll your window down and the cop asks you in a stern tone, "Do you know why I stopped you?" Confused and scared of his tone, you say, "Because I did something wrong?" You've just landed yourself in trouble with this answer. What it does is it raises suspicion against you, and the cop's going to be adamant to know what exactly you've done wrong. For this, he would ask you multiple questions in a row, and from all the pressure, you're going to start ranting out and you're going to find yourself taking a trip downtown to the police station. Now, what if we tried to be clever here and respond to him with, "I don't know"? Isn't that a good answer? Well, hold up. This answer could also be used against you in a court of law because it shows that you're nervous or you don't have a good memory. Unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people admitting their mistakes when the cop asks this simple question. They'll respond to it like this: "I was just over the speed limit because I'm having a tough time right now and I'm in an emergency." Or, "I was going a little fast because I really need to pee." Or, "Maybe I was speeding just a bit because I'm late to pick up my kids from school." Never do any of those. In situations like this, you need to remember 2 simple facts. Number 1, everything you're saying can and will be used against you in a court of law, and it's also being recorded, so stay ignorant. Number 2, cops are asking you this open-ended question because they don't have anything on you. They don't have any probable cause to stop, search, or arrest you. So don't give them a reason to do any of that nonsense. Just speak less, remain polite, and don't deny or agree to anything. So I know what you're thinking. Well, what the heck is the correct answer in this particular situation? Well, you've got to remain ignorant and let the cops tell you the reason why they stopped you. So just say, "No, officer. What was the reason?" This kind of answer will keep you off the hook. Honestly, it's a lot like playing the question game from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Make sure you answer every question with the question so that they have to answer the questions themselves, because then you're doing nothing wrong by asking for clarification. Before we delve into the second question, take a look at this clip to see how even law enforcement themselves can get caught up in our next tricky question.
Good afternoon, I'm Officer Henry with the Wilson Police Department. The reason for the stop today is because I clocked you 37 and a 25.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Can I get your driver's license real quick, Mr. Bryant?
You really want my driver's license?
I just want to look at it.
Huh?
I said, I just
I'm
want...
the sheriff. I'm not giving you my license. I'm the sheriff.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not giving you my driver's license.
The footage is actually telling you how not to tackle the second dangerous questions the cops might ask. I'm gonna want to see your registrations and license, please. Here's the thing. It's the duty of officers to ask for your documents when they pull you over. Honestly, I've seen a lot of people make the mistake of flashing their military IDs in response to this question, or they tell cops the names of their friends or relatives who are serving in law enforcement. Some people even keep letters from the Police Benevolent Association to show that they're donors in case they ever get stopped. Here in this footage, Sheriff Chris Bryant refuses to show his driver's license to cops. What's the reason behind all this? To make an impression on the officer. But in reality, they land themselves in trouble as the sheriff did. See, he showed his driver's license in the end and publicly apologized to the cop for his behavior. So what should you do when cops ask you this question?
You got your license, brother?
Of course.
Vehicle registered to you?
Of course.
So well. And you got your registration for me? Do me a favor, roll down that other window for me. Thank you, brother.
The Orlando attorney in this video hands over his documents without any delay, so you should also keep your documents with you and give them to the cops as soon as they ask. You don't have to share your life story. You don't have to tell them who you know serves in the military or as a cop or a sheriff. The simple truth of the matter is that they can also use that against you because it makes it look like you did something wrong and you're trying to name drop to get yourself out of trouble. Remember, everything you say can and will be used against you at the court of law to prove that you're guilty of something. Okay, so question 3 is the one that catches a lot of people off guard. And it's usually phrased something along these lines. You don't mind if I thoroughly search your car as you don't have anything to hide, do you? Could you give us consent to search your vehicle? Here's the thing, officers mostly ask these types of questions in a row to confuse you. Some people only say yes to convey that they do mind officers thoroughly searching their car. Similarly, a few people say no to convey that they don't consent to the search. But here's the catch. Officers will intentionally interpret your answers the wrong way. They're gonna argue that your yes means that you're giving consent and your no means that you don't mind their searching your car. And they're gonna write down that Mr. So-and-so and such doesn't mind if we search their car. In this particular situation, you would be stuck and at the mercy of whatever they find or plant. So what you need to do in this particular situation is be 100% crystal clear and chunk those questions. Treat them as 2 separate questions when you address them. You can do this by saying something simple like, "Officer, I know you're doing your job, but I do not consent to you searching my vehicle without a warrant. I do not consent to you getting in my vehicle." Remain polite and then just shut up and stop talking as soon as you give your response. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't owe them an explanation. Just zip it. Because what you've done is you've acted upon your constitutional rights. Full stop. Okay, let's take a look at this in action to get a better understanding.
Yeah.
So you have nothing in the vehicle?
I have absolutely nothing in the vehicle.
Okay. And you don't mind confirming that by allowing us to look and make sure there's nothing in the vehicle? As you can imagine, we hear no all the time as they have nothing and we find stuff.
I'd rather not search my car.
Okay. Cool. Just hang tight, brother, okay?
Now, I know not every interaction is going to go smoothly. Sometimes officers could become stern after your response and say something like, "Well, I think I should be difficult with you now." In this moment, under that much pressure, you might be thinking of giving consent, as there's nothing illegal in your car. There's no harm in letting the cops search it, right? But just hold up a second there, Chief. Stop and think. Have you given a lift to any person in your car lately? A boss, an employee, colleague, friend, neighbor, relative, significant other. There's always a chance that somebody's dropped something in your car accidentally. And if there's anything in the car that you don't know about because it's not yours, you're going to be the one in trouble with the officers. Not your friend or whomever dropped it in the first place, but you. And why? Because you gave them permission to search the vehicle because you caved under pressure. So the best solution in all of these cases is to always refuse consent. Deny them. Tell them in no uncertain terms, "No, I do not give you consent to search my vehicle without a warrant." Here's the thing. If they still demand for you to exit the vehicle, don't resist. Calmly come out, call your attorney, and start recording your interaction with the officers. Tell them that you're upholding your First Amendment right to record the interaction and the conversation. Because here's the thing. You can always use this recording to sue officers for illegal searches or seizures later on in court. So know your rights and make sure that you're fully defended and ready to go when the time comes. Now that you know how to respond to the third tactic and not give in to their pressure BS schemes, let's move on to the fourth tactic that officers will use to try and trap you. This one seems really innocent on the surface, but is actually a complete devil in itself. Where are you coming from? So suppose an officer stops you and asks this question. You politely tell him that you're coming from a grocery store and you're heading home. but I think you're coming from a bar." This statement from the cop makes you nervous, and you blurt out, "No, I was in the bar yesterday." And now the cop's gonna ask you a million questions related to your bar visit. As a lawful citizen, you're gonna feel obligated to answer every single little question that this officer asks you. And guess what? In the end, he could have probable cause to arrest you. I know what you're thinking. Sounds pretty far-fetched, right? But it's a reality. Once you start answering questions, cops are gonna find any reason they can to arrest you. Why? Because cops have quotas they have to meet in order to get raises, to qualify for additional promotions at work, and to get paid every month. And if the station doesn't meet its quota consistently, guess what happens? Officers get let go. So what do? Do you tell them where you're coming from? Absolutely not. Now, you don't have to be a jerk about it. You can say something simple like, "My lawyer friend advised me to remain silent." You could also just stay silent and not say anything, or just fail to address the question. So let's assume that you're standing on your private property and an officer approaches you and asks this question. How should you handle that? Let's take a look at this footage to find out.
Where have you been today? Have you been here all day, or have you been out and about a little bit?
What is this about? Who are you?
I'm asking the questions. Where have you been today?
No,
have you been here?
I'm asking the questions. You're on this property. You're on this property, so you need to answer my questions.
An Arizona police officer's on the property of a person without any warrant and questioning him. He refuses to answer and demanded that the officer give him some answers. The key takeaway here is critical. If an officer doesn't have a warrant against you, they've got no power to come onto your property and question you. You're not obliged to answer them about your whereabouts. A perfect example, I represented a client once who was arrested on public property after attending a party. Quite literally, he was at a friend's house, drinking, having a good time, while officers were waiting silently in the bushes around the corner. He was drinking and drunk on private property, so the officers couldn't do anything. But the moment that he left the driveway of his friend's house to walk onto the sidewalk to get something from his vehicle, they pounced and they arrested him for being drunk in public. So know your rights and know where you are safe from officers looking to fill their quota. Question 4 could lead cops to ask the next question. Are you drunk? Suppose for a minute that you're driving at nighttime and a cop stops you at a DUI checkpoint. As soon as you roll down your window, the cop says, "I got an anonymous tip that you're weaving around the road because you're drunk. Please step out of the vehicle." Shocked and nervous, you blurt out that you only had 1 or 2 beers and you're not intoxicated. Or maybe you tell them that you didn't have any drinks at the bar, but you're nervous. So maybe you start slurring or you start shivering. So they ask you, "Why are you slurring words? Are you drunk?" Here, a lot of you might think to give field sobriety tests to prove your innocence. But here's one thing the cops will never tell you. These tests are highly subjective and you could easily fail them. So, how do you respond to this question?
Where's it going?
What's up?
Put your helmet on real quick.
Sure.
What's up? You got anything to drink today?
I don't want to answer any questions.
You have anything to drink or no?
Questions.
Have you had anything to drink today, sir? I can detain you for an hour. Just answer me yes or no.
No questions.
Want to pull over here for me?
Are you ordering me?
You can see how the man remains calm and refuses to answer any questions. Now, you might be thinking that officers should have detained him for an hour, but here's the catch. Cops can't stop you for long without any probable cause. They will repeat their question 3 to 4 times, and then they'll let you go. After refusing to answer the question, you could ask them, "Are you detaining me or am I free to go?" They can't say no to this question, so they have to leave you alone. Let's break down our final point. When cops ask you an open-ended question, remain ignorant and let them tell you why they stopped you. When they ask you for documents, provide them instantly and keep your trap shut. Don't give them consent to search your car. If they still want to, don't resist and call your attorney and document the entire thing. And on video, make sure it's heard that you're clearly stating that they do not have consent to search your vehicle. Never ever tell the officers where you're coming from. Use your Fifth Amendment rights. When they ask whether you're drunk, Don't respond. Speak less and remain confident so that you don't slur words. Cops can't detain you for long. With that said, want to protect yourself even more? You should definitely watch this video. Stay smart, stay safe, and we'll see you next time.